Hello, everyone. We are back with another episode of the Des Moines Metro Language of Real Estate, the Lore Report, where we talk about what's happening in the real estate market here in Des Moines, Iowa, and all surrounding suburbs that are touching Des Moines. My name is Jorge Guadalupe Ibarra Gonzalez, aka Junior. It's how they know me in the real estate world, and I have experts alongside me. We starting with.
I'm Anthony Simon. I am an agent on the team representing sellers and buyers. And we also have Mr.
Ryan Cahoy. I'm the Director of Operations for Team IRG.
So we love sharing content. We love sharing education because we like to empower all of our community with information so they can make informative decisions. And so we are showcasing this data one time per month on our YouTube channel at Team IRG. So feel free to even look at the previous report. Yet now we're going to be talking about August numbers. So Anthony, take it away.
All right. So just as a reminder, this is looking at roughly a 14.5 mile radius of Des Moines. So what everybody would consider the metro core. And this is looking at only single family homes. So just a few caveats, but still gives us a really good idea of just how the Des Moines area is doing with real estate. So jumping right into the numbers, median sale price for the metro is up to about 320,000. As you can see, it's been pretty steady this year compared to last year. We really haven't seen much fall off or no fall off really yet this fall. Des Moines tends to be pretty seasonal with our market. Obviously, things tend to pick up in spring, go pretty heavy through summer, and then in the fall and winter months tends to slow down a little bit. So far, we've not really seen that much of a slowdown.
Definitely. And what's nice to see here, and we've hit on it in previous videos though, if you look at that gray line in 2020 and how big of a gap it is to 2021, the yellow line, that's a huge increase in pricing. So I think it shows right there 106 to 111 and then 111 to 115. Those big gaps are being shown there, and it shows just huge increase in pricing over the last few years. And that's just not stable for any market to have those huge jumps like that. So now the gap between the blue and the green is a lot less, and it's more typical to what we like to see in a healthy real estate market versus the huge increases that wouldn't be sustainable for our market. So it's good to see a stable price increase, yet not a huge year over year increase like we've seen over the last couple years.
So things tend to slow down a little bit at the beginning of the year in spring or early spring coming off of winter. But we've been at 4 days on market for April, May, June, and July, and just finally ticked up to 6 days on market for August. So seeing a tiny bit of a slowdown, but still nothing drastic, nothing crazy, and it's still been in line really with what we've seen the last 2 years for how quickly housing is still moving.
Anthony, you mentioned too that you've been seeing a little bit of price reductions out in the market, but ultimately, if it's priced right, it looks like it's going to be selling quick.
And this is median days on market, so it is taking into account what the bulk of everything is doing. There's obviously going to be some houses that are selling overnight or some houses that are sitting for a month or two. We've seen that just anecdotally, but if things are priced appropriately, they tend to still they're still fine. We have more buyers than sellers right now, generally, and things are still moving. 6 days on market is still crazy fast.
Very fast and still a heavy seller's market for most price points, which you'll see on one of the upcoming slides. And one of the reasons I think we see some of those price reductions is because whether working with the realtor or a client, sometime maybe the client or the realtor want to try a little bit higher price point, knowing that days on market are low. And sometimes when you're going against the trend, then you might see the market sit or the house sit on the market a little bit longer. Yet where we always advise our client base and whatnot is that's very doable, and we're always going to do what the client wants as long as they have the information to make informative decisions. You still have to be a little bit careful if you can totally overprice the house, and then the longer it sits on the market, buyers start to think, what's wrong with it? It's been 14 days on market. Even though that's not a long time, they're already in their heads. Everything else sold around that neighborhood. This one's on the market for 2 weeks. They start getting the psychology component of what might be wrong with it, even though there may literally be nothing wrong with it. So there's always that sales psychology component that goes into anything in sales.
And this is the whole market. Things can be slightly different in specific areas. Things are obviously slightly different in different price points, which kind of brings up the next slide. It is days on market by price point. So the bulk of the metro is in that kind of 400 and under range. We're seeing 350 and under is selling generally in less than a week. Over that, it tends to sit a little bit longer. Some of these really high upper price points, honestly, could be one or two sales that are affecting these every month. But that million plus at the very top was 57 days. That could be just one house. But as you can see, things tend to sit just a little bit longer, higher up the price point brackets we go.
Most definitely. What's nice about Des Moines Metro is that there's still those price points out there available for our clients in our community. So affordability is still within our realm. And so you can see where the buyer pools are at just by looking at days on market based on price point for sure.
We're going to look at number of units sold. So I had a little bit of a pullback in July. We picked back up a little bit more in August. From June, I know year to date totals, June we were at 82% of the 5 year average. Now we're at 80%. So houses being sold, we're starting to see it slow down just a little bit more over the last 2 months than what maybe was kind of more typical in kind of July and August. But for comparing us to other parts of the country, 80% is still doing pretty rock solid number of transactions happening compared to some places.
And it looks in years prior, we always see that little bit of an upswing from July to August. And then we start to usually see a downward trend just because the seasonality starts to hit in. It'd be interesting to see because right now, at least with what's happening with our team, it's not slowing down right now. I feel like it's almost picking back up. And I'm just going off of just what we're seeing on a day to day here as far as activity. So I'd be interested to see if we still see that downward for September, or if we do see a little bit of an uptick right there, because just based on just day-to-day activity at our office, it's where things are rocking and rolling, both for buyers and for sellers.
Yeah,
And
and
Junior,
honestly,
in June, we had a record month. I know it's not July or August, but our June was our highest on record. It's good for us to see that.
Absolutely. Even though the market is, did you say 20%, Anthony?
we're down about 20% for the 5 year average.
For the 5 year average, and June was out of the 9 years that the team has been in markets, it was the highest month ever. We're very blessed that, and we thank all of our clients in our community for continuing to put us to work and trust in us to for all of your real estate needs. So thank you, and a big old shout out to everyone out there for that.
And like you said, anecdotally, we're seeing a lot of activity still. So it'll be interesting to see if September does hold steady for the market as a whole. I think that's where we're going to start actually closing that gap down a little bit more. If we can hold steady for the next month or two before winter really sets in, we could make up some sales in that time frame.
For sure.
Looking at everything by price point, no shocker here if you've been listening from the beginning so far. Everything is right around that $200,000 to $400,000 price range is the bulk of what's happening in the metro. Some stuff is happening above, some stuff is happening below, but that's where the kind of the bread and butter for Des Moines is that $200,000 to $400,000 range. And no surprise, that's where we're seeing the most number of sales.
What do you happen to know what percentage of that lands in the 200 to 400 range of the number of houses sold?
I didn't this time. I know
Okay.
last time it was at 86% of houses were selling 400 and below. I didn't run that statistic this time, unfortunately, but I would venture to say that it's still pretty significant because
Yeah.
these didn't change a whole lot from over the last 2 months.
And you can visually see it right there. Very cool. And that's where all the activity is that we're seeing on the day to day on our end too, where we see the most activity.
New listings, so still pretty decent. Inventory's been low in Des Moines and new listings has been a big part of it. We've been a little bit slower just overall for the year. No surprise from the previous slides. We're seeing this seasonally, we're seeing it slide down a little bit. No surprise there. So this is pretty much things are going as we expect at the moment.
The one thing that I see a little bit different than last year in 2022 from July to August is last year was still a pretty steep decline. And so I see an upward tick there. So we do need inventory. So that's good to see that piece of it be a little bit different than last year.
And if this can hold steady, that would be great for the next month or two. That'd be amazing because just recovering some of our inventory levels, which we're going to talk about now. We have been very slowly over the last 3, 4 months, very slowly ticking up in inventory up to 1753 for August. I think where new construction has honestly not changed hardly at all. New construction for June and July and August were really all close to that 940 range. Resale houses, however, have been ticking up, and that's what I think is pushing this inventory, total inventory up. Is from June to August, we went up 100 resale homes, and that had a 4% increase, a 4% swing from new construction to resale listings out there. So that's something that's great to see from my perspective, and for buyers, is that we're starting to see some more turnover with some existing homes finally.
It's good to see that trend going up, and I hope it continues to go up. It just provides all of our consumer clients in the community just more options to look at for homes so that days on market aren't less than 10 days. It helps with some of that as well, and not having to make as quick of a decision if they're looking to buy their first home or whatnot. It's good to see that upward tick on active listings as we're kind of seeing right now.
Yeah, and that's all we got. So market's slowly recovering here in Des Moines. Things are slightly slower than we've seen the last few years, obviously, but interest rates are double than what they were 2 years ago. But as a whole, Des Moines is doing rock solid, especially coming through the end of summer into early fall. We're still rocking and rolling pretty awesomely.
Absolutely. And this will be our first video that'll actually have captions alongside it. We hired a video editor to help us create more quality content and just the ability to have the captions within it too. Please let us know, comment, feedback, give us negative comments too or positive. And again, at the end of the day, real estate is all hyper local. Literally, you could price a home at X and then within 4 blocks, price it at Y. So make sure that you're working with real estate advisors to help you. And if we can be of value of assistance, we just want to let you know that you are going to be seen, you're going to be heard, and we're going to provide you and empower you with the information so that you can make an informative decision. And we're here to add value to whomever we can provide that to. So thank you for all of you that continue to listen and get some educational content from our team at Team IRG. So we'll see you on the next one.